Hi, I'm Daz. I'm the producer of The Drift, and today I'm the editor of The Drift. At least the main editor, one of the editors, hoping to get more, but at the moment it's me. And I thought what I would do is just sort of describe sort of the process that that I'm using to put the pieces together, to put the scenes together, to put the sequences together. There's no sort of one way of editing. It's a creative process. You can do it by the numbers. You can do courses, and there are rules about editing, and the rules really exist through experience of the last 100 years that films have been made, and the rules centre around what the audience can accept. What works for the audience. So there are some sort of rules to bear in mind, but even before you get to that sort of stage, there's the enormous task of collecting all the footage together, the 5,000 clips that we have, and trying to make some sort of sense of it. So traditionally, one would have a storyboard for that. And I say traditionally, in the industry, they have a storyboard artist whose sole job, or a team of people whose job it is to create that image, and indeed the storyboard is vital, frankly. Whether you have one or not, it's a vital component, because even during the shooting, it's how you would at least start to frame your shots, and the director would look at it, the director of photography would look at it, lighting, everybody looks at the storyboards. We don't have storyboards because we don't have that resource. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you have to shoot a lot more stuff, you have to shoot a lot more angles, to sort of play it safe that you get everything that you think you might need. And it's not the best way of making a film, but if you're a small group of people trying to make a very big movie, it's just one of those unfortunate realities that you have to deal with during the filmmaking process. But it's not a great big huge deal. It just means there's a bit more work later on. And that later on will be now. So what do I do? How do I edit? Well, the first thing I do is we log all the clips. That's really important. When all the clips are copied in and renamed into a sequence, they have to be logged. You have to basically say what each clip is, what scene it's for, basically what happens in it, or where the dialogue starts and stops, and then anything that's important about that clip. Does it have visual effects, blue screen, that kind of stuff? And if you do that in a spreadsheet, what that does is it allows you then to, throughout the post-production process, to share that information, firstly, with all your editors, visual effects guys, graders, anyone who's actually involved in that process. But being on a spreadsheet, it also allows you to sort that data, and it all sounds a bit dull. But, for example, out of the 5,000 clips, if I wanted to look at one of the scenes, for example, scene 99A, that reduces the 5,000 clips down to 6. So immediately you can search, find the clips that are relevant to the scene you're editing, and only have to worry about finding those clips on your computer. So there's an immediate benefit. Also, sometimes it's sort of, again, it being a creative thing. Some people prefer to see a printout. Some people prefer to look at a screen. Some people just like to search through all the clips with absolutely no sort of plan at all. So it's one more way of people being able to actually find the clips that they want to do. So once that's done, or rather once enough of it's done, because the logging actually is still going on, not surprising really when you've got that many clips to go through, it's then just time to start creating what are called project files. Now I'm not going to start telling you how to use editing software. That's a whole separate thing. It depends what software you use. So the general sort of principles are that what I do once the clips for a whole scene are logged is I then prepare what's called a project file in my editing program. So that means for each scene would have its own file. So I'd open up my editing software, and then I'd open up the project file for that scene number. And there's 105 scenes in this film currently. In fact, actually, there's more than that, because there's a couple of A's, so like 99A and that kind of stuff. So it's about between 105 and 110 scenes. So typically that would mean 105 to 110 project files. That does change later on. So once you start opening what I did is I created one project file to have all the things I needed in it. So lots of different folders for all my different cameras. Generally got 4 cameras during the production, 3 Canons, 3 DSLRs and 1 Sony, the EX1. Occasionally there were some others, but those are the main ones. So I created what are called bins, little folders for each one of those, for all the footage for that scene from that camera to go in that folder. Did that for all of those. A folder for titles, because during the edit process sometimes you want to put titles on the screen, things like scene number, date, that kind of stuff. Also any presets, some obvious presets like type of zoom that I definitely want to have, and then later on into grading you might want to apply different presets to the clips. That basically means if you want to make it brighter or darker or add a change of colour or that kind of thing. So that once you've created that sort of one project file, like a template, you save it as a template, you can then basically copy and paste that project file 105 times, which makes life very easy, which I did. So having done one super duper project file template, I then blasted that out 105 times, nice and easy. It took like a minute to do that. Okay, then what you then do is start importing my clips. So I started importing each of the clips for each of the scenes, thanks to the logging file. And that was, and then I put them each into the bin. So Canon 1 to 3, all the footage goes into Canon 1, all the footage Canon 2, Canon 3. And then I also changed the colours. So for example, on here, I've got Canon 1 and everything is yellow. If I then go to Canon 2, everything is kind of sort of violet. If I go to Canon 3, well, there's nothing in Canon 3, so that's nice and empty, happy days. And then EX1 is all blue. So immediately, when I then start dragging clips into the timeline, and again that's a whole edit process, but basically you look at the clip you want, you put it into the timeline to start working on your edit. Straight away I've got a whole sort of multitude of colours, of stuff, of different clips. So I've got yellows, I've got blues, if I go further here I've got some pinks, and straight away I can immediately see the colours, the type of clips that they are, and there's a difference because, for example, the EX1 produces a different type of shot than the DSLR's, depth of field, that kind of stuff, contrast and things. So it allows you to immediately visually recognise what clip is what. And what we then create with each of those scenes then is a phrase actually that was given to me. Well, I say given to me. I stole from our visual effects coordinator, Helen McAvoy. She actually said, "What you're creating, Dad, is basically like a storyboard edit," and that's exactly what we're doing. So the sort of first phase is what I used to do is called like a script edit. Basically, you edit to the script. Whatever happens in the script is what you put on there. But that actually isn't quite what happens, because although you do edit to the script, the dialogue, there may be 5 different takes of the same script line from 3 different cameras. That's 15 shots. And having to make a decision at this early stage as to which shot you're going to use isn't very easy. In fact, it would probably be a bad idea because it's just too early in the game to start making calls like that. But you do want to be able to see those clips. So actually, what I kind of do is edit to the script, and then if I see 4 different shots of the same line that I like, then I just put them in straight after each other, and it says the same line 4 times in different angles or what have you, and that's fine because that then gets turned into a video, that whole scene with all the extra bits in, and that gets pushed out to all the other people involved in the process, and that allows them to sort of look at it as well and then feedback comments too. So really what I'm creating at this sort of stage is a storyboard edit. And the plan will be then, once that is done, is to hopefully have a storyboard edit for every scene except for the CGI stuff, and that's a whole separate ball game. And by putting those together, you can just see a very, very rough cut movie. In fact, you've seen in one of the earlier diaries that there was a storyboard edit going on in the background. In fact, it's this one here, which we might see more of during the next sort of few months and stuff as the post-production goes on. This is the one that we'll be sort of sharing with you. So yeah, you can see now that there's scene 16 in there, and then as it moves into the next scene, because this is actually a sequence of scenes. I was saying it before about you do a scene for each project, a project for each scene. Well, some of the scenes are very obviously connected, and it kind of makes sense to sort of put those together. So this is actually 6 scenes, 16 to 25. So that's a number or group of numbers you're going to hear a lot over the next few months. But 16 to 25 is this sequence of scenes. But to make life easy for the guys, what I've done is input in the top sort of right-hand corner of the clip the scene number. So they know when they're looking at the script and the visual effects that they can then relate that to what it is I'm talking about when we're on Google Chat or Skype or the phone or whatever, and that goes all the way through, so people can immediately comment on an element of the scene. Also, we put in things like sort of these text boxes of when something's got to happen, but you don't have any footage for it. Typically visual effects, but not always. Sometimes it's just a type of shot that I know I've got, but I haven't put in yet. I can't find it, or we need to intimate something in the edit at that point, which hasn't currently been done. So that's a really important thing too. There's no issue with sound effects, dialogue, the delivery, the drama. We're way before that point at the moment. This is purely about a visual, moving storyboard, looking at the best sort of cuts that I've found so far, and to see how the whole thing kind of fits together very, very loosely. The time of sort of pacing of the cut and the drama intensity, that'll all come later, and that'll be a different diary, probably again with the same sequence, 16 to 25. So, but there's still a lot of work to do, incidentally. That's it all sounds perhaps a bit sort of basic, but actually, it's pretty intense. There's a lot of scenes to do and a lot of footage to go through. It's also a great time to sort of pick up any continuity issues or any major ones. We have found a couple already, and we're not quite sure how we're going to get out of those. They're not major plot points, which is great, but they are fairly significant. Where someone's perhaps not wearing the right item of clothing, or suddenly it's missing and then back on again. That's a problem of editing, rather making the film not in the right order, which is typical. And then poor Sue, who broke her foot, who was our continuity, that's when the mistake started to take place, which is when she was no longer there. It was one more thing that the rest of us had to think about. So yeah, we've suffered there a little bit, but hopefully we'll be able to pick them up and sort them out. Worst case scenario, you just go with it. There are plenty of films where they have major continuity problems, stuntmen wearing the wrong colour t-shirts and all sorts. So I'm not too worried. At the end of the day, it's just a £3,000 movie, so no one's going to get shot many times. So we'll see. But there we go. That's the sort of like edit diary number one in a nutshell. And then as I get more into the creative side, then we could do some more diaries and show you sort of how I'm getting more creative. And again, probably particularly with this scene. But I just thought I'd sort of share with you the sort of edit process thus far. And there we go.